Good morning, team. It is Tuesday, October 6th, and we are so excited to be back with all of you. I'm Amy Kaur, and I am with Kevin Van Eck, and we are both live out of the Bucktown office this morning. So grab your mugs, and let's kick off our first Coffee with Amy and Kevin as part of our new It's All About Love series.
Yes, good morning, Amy. Hope everyone has their coffee. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our first Coffee with Amy and Kevin for the It's All About Love program, and we've got a great one for you today. As we talked about yesterday in the kickoff, this is all about you. It's all about ourselves. It's about loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves so that we can be more successful, more happy in our personal and professional lives. So we've got 4 topics today that we want to talk about. The first is work-life balance. And this is an enigma, right? Work-life balance, people talk about it all the time, but I feel like it's kind of like a unicorn. You know what it looks like, but nobody's ever actually seen one. So in this case, work-life balance, let's get real for a second. There's only 24 hours in a day. There are no more hours, so they have to be divided up between work and life or your personal life in some fashion. And of course, it sways, right? If you have 7 listings going on in a period of 3 days, you are going to be working more during those 3 days than you would typically. And during slow periods or during the holidays, you will work less. So there's this natural sway of time that you spend on each of them. But overall, when we look at the big picture over a year, over a month maybe, how much time are you spending on each, and is there a balance? So let's talk about what we can do to really take a look at our work-life balance and see if we're happy where we are and the steps we can take to change it if we're not. So we've created a worksheet. It's in the packet for week 1, and you'll be able to work through that, and please take the time to do so. Work through it. One of the first steps is taking that assessment and finding out where you are spending your time. There are tools that you can do this with. There's screen time on iPhone. You can actually just manually log what you do throughout the day, because I think we'll be surprised at how much time we spend idly doing nothing or surfing social media. And I know we need to be on social media for work, but just scrolling and trying to beat the internet. So if you take inventory of how you're spending your time, you're going to know where the time is that you're not focusing on either your business or your personal life. So use the tools available. Once you figure out where you're spending your time, the second step would be, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be spending your time? And here's another reality check. If you're spending a lot of time at work and you don't actually want to spend time outside of work, you don't actually want to spend time with friends or family or whatever it might be, let's be real about this. Let's be realistic where your priorities are and whether you're willing to change. Because like anything else, when you create habits and you want to change habits, you have to be the first one to want to do it, not because someone is asking for your time or someone is demanding for your time. So work through the worksheet. I'm going to share that here just really quickly so you can see what it looks like. And this is the assessment that we talk about. Go through, fill this out, spend the time this week to take inventory, figure out what's holding you back, and then determine what your goal is for the future in terms of work-life balance.
That's great, Kevin. Some really great pointers. And I know all of us are always struggling with work-life balance. I mean, it is something that we really kind of look at daily, but we always aspire to, really make it something that we can accomplish. So one of the ways that we can actually do that is to really start looking at our habits and seeing what we're doing every day. I think one of the things to really be able to get work-life balance is to begin taking account of everything that you're doing day in and day out. And so what we've included as part of week 1's packet is a habit tracker. It's nothing fancy. It is really basic, but it does exactly what it needs to. It allows you to jot down every habit that you've got or everything that you're doing throughout the day, and then marking every single day that you accomplish it. And we're going to get into the daily routine in a minute, but the daily routine is the one thing that you can actually put into your habit tracker to start this off. And it's just a nice way to make sure that if there are certain non-negotiables or things that you want to make sure that you're accomplishing in a day, by writing it down and then marking it off, it makes it consistent and it becomes a habit. So this habit tracker is really easy. It breaks down the month. You can simply circle or highlight the month you're in, and it shows day 1 through 31. And then you can write in each of the habits. We're hoping, again, you'll put in your morning routine habits, and then you can also put things in on a weekly or a monthly basis. again, really basic. This comes from the book Atomic Habits, which is something we spoke about much earlier in the year, a really great book that talks to you about some of the ways to track and change your habits to really move or adjust your trajectory. So this is the habit tracker you'll find in your worksheet. But I want to go into some of the habits we want you to really focus on, especially as we're in this 12-week series. It's all about love. And it really is all about you. So I want to talk about your morning routine. And I want to talk about the, 3 things to really focus on, and we've included it. The one thing that's really important when I was, reaching out and looking at online about, morning routines and how to make them successful, I pulled up some really great tips. The first one is to identify your keystone habits. And a keystone habit can be referred to as an anchor. It's something that you do every single day, and it acts as the foundation upon which you're going to build all of your other habits. So it can be honestly as simple as making sure that you get up and you brush your teeth. If that is your anchor habit, great. But you want to make sure that you can build upon that habit and add other ones in along the way. The other thing is to make sure to eliminate some of the decision-making tasks in the morning. Sometimes the best way to be productive is to get a head start right before it by making a list and making sure that you already know what your game plan is before you get up. So any additional decisions you have to make first thing in the morning, like what t-shirt am I going to throw on for my workout, is going to delay you and maybe take you off track. So if you can do some decision making before the morning, it's going to make you more effective. Already have your plan ready to go as to what you're going to do to start your day. And then this I actually really like, and I just started this week. It's something called habit chaining. And what that does, and the example they gave, is to actually build out some steps to make sure that you can get all of your habits in. So they recommend, instead of having your iPhone right by your bed where you can hit the alarm and snooze it multiple times, I've never done that, but where you can snooze it multiple times, they have you move it across the room, and then they have you set up your glass of water for the morning and lay out your workout outfit. So that way I'm already set to go for my first 3 steps in my habits. It's going to be wake up, turn off my alarm, get myself going by drinking some of my water and wake myself up, get my workout clothes on, and get ready to go and jump on my Peloton. So if you can change some of those steps together to make sure that you do hit all of your habits, it's really going to help. So it's really some great stuff to think about as you're starting to take a look at your morning routine and how you want to create success for yourself. And again, the way that you wake up in the morning and you take some of these initial steps really sets the foundation for the rest of your day. So, Kevin and I talk a lot about it. He's a morning person too and gets up really early. But when you start your day off right, it really changes the tone of how you address and work with everyone throughout the day. So I want to talk a little bit about the morning routine specifically. And this is the daily 5. This is what we talked about back in Do It Now, and we're bringing it back again. It's not complicated. It's not over challenging, but it's a great way to start your day.
Yeah, that's great. I want to go back to habit changing for just a second, because I think that's so important. Why, a lot of times we make it more difficult for ourselves to do what we actually want to do, right? So for example, maybe I lay out a white button down every day, or maybe a shawl collar sweater now that we're going into winter, since I apparently have 40 of them. So this morning routine, make it easy for yourself. That's the whole idea behind the 3 tips that Amy gave. Make it easy. Don't create your own roadblocks to doing something that's going to help you improve. So the daily 5, the first one, get moving. There's so much research out there that talks about how blood flow to your brain, oxygen to your brain gets things going. And I'm going to relate this to working out, because we are talking about working out, but it involves your brain as well. One of the things that marathoners do is before they run the marathon, 26.2 miles, they run a few miles to warm up, because to create peak performance, they have to have their body ready. And it's the same here with your brain. When you have oxygen flowing, when you're up in the morning and you're really focusing on something that doesn't involve stress, it's going to prepare you for the day. And if you accomplish that in the morning, and especially if you accomplish something that you didn't believe you could do, something that you believed was maybe difficult, you're starting your day with a success. So moving in the morning gets the blood going, gets your body ready for the day, but more importantly, get your brain ready to function to be able to operate at peak performance.
I love it. Yes. And the second step in your daily 5 morning routine is to get inspired. And that means simply taking 5 minutes to read a great quote out of a book, or to watch a quick motivational, nugget on video. It's really being able to read, listen, or watch something that's going to motivate and inspire you. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how to find some of that stuff, because a lot of people have reached out to Kevin and I and have really said, but what should I be looking at to get inspired? And we all have our own different things. But I think the 3 things that are most important is to really sort of focus on what do you have. Taking the time to find something that you like. And what I mean by that is think about the things that you're interested in, right? If you are a cyclist, or if you are a runner, if you do like yoga, look for things out there, podcasts that might be related to your own personal interests. Because when you find something that you're interested in, you're going to find inspiration through others who are doing the same things or similar things that you are doing. I also recommend ask people in your circle, ask your friends, ask your family members, ask your colleagues, what are they reading for inspiration? Is there a great book that they're listening to on Audible, or if they are listening to a podcast, or maybe there's, certain TED Talks that motivate them? Find out what they're listening to, because odds are, if these are the people in your circle, it's going to be something that's interesting to you as well. And then if in doubt, Google it. That's the thing that's really important, is that the internet is there for us to find absolutely everything on Google. But maybe Google some of the things that you're interested in, like cool podcasts that, inspire in under 5 minutes. Whatever you're looking for, you can probably find some great suggestions on Google. And then the last thing is find something on your shelf. So, let's say this week is kind of busy and you don't really have the time to do some of the research. Find an old book that you've read in the past that has really meant something to you or has inspired you. Open it up and read a few pages. Getting inspiration shouldn't be that hard. I, at home, have a daily, little calendar of flashcards. And every day it has a new quote. And so when I get up in the morning, that's what I look at. And it really helps set the tone, because it usually tells me not to be a grump and look at the good things in life. But that's all I need. I need one little quote that's going to kind of kickstart my day for inspiration.
That's great. I can't imagine you ever being a grump, Amy. So that is beyond my comprehension, but it's probably because you read the quotes in the morning. The third thing here is being grateful. So when we talk about gratitude, we talk about gratitude incessantly, and there's a reason why. Again, when it goes back to research, gratitude affects being grateful and coming from a place of gratefulness for the things that we have and the things that are happening around us has a real impact on our day and the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat others. So what we suggest is writing out 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And this doesn't need to be difficult. Amy has tips in the packet, and so I'm going to show those really quickly here, that when it comes to how to write a gratitude list, there's some tips here to make it easy. One of the things that I want to point out is, as you do this, like any habit, it gets easier. And that's one of the things that Amy shared at the bottom is, as you get into the habit of writing gratitudes, it becomes easier because you know the thought process to create it. At first, one of the suggestions here is make it simple. And that's great. Keep it simple. What are some of the simple things that we're grateful for? But at the end of the day, we don't want to duplicate. We're grateful for so many things. It really is digging them out from within, the things that we are grateful for, the things that we maybe aren't cognizant of, the things that maybe we're taking for granted. So a good way to do this, invest in a journal. Get a special book. I know I've got a special blue covered book. Amy was talking earlier. She's using an app that we'll talk about in a second that I think is super interesting. But create a special book, a special journal, whatever it might be, so that you can make it special. The other part is setting a realistic goal. Don't come in thinking you're going to write 5 or 10 gratitudes and spend 20 minutes every morning doing that right off the bat. There are no rules to it. If you're grateful for it, write it down. But again, as you do this, as it becomes a habit, it will become much easier. Amy, you want to share a little bit about the app you're using?
Yeah. So, when I was researching gratitude lists and how to kind of stay on track, I actually came across an article that talked about some really great gratitude apps. There's a ton of them out there. I actually just started using Grateful, which is the first app recommendation on here. I threw in 2 others, but honestly, there are a ton. Some that work better on iPhone, some that are better for Androids. But really the essence of each of these is it gives you a place where you can quickly type in, 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. They also, you can increase your participation or pay for a higher version of the app. And they have kind of some cool things, which is you can post to a group if you want to start sharing your gratitude and kind of make it more of a community opportunity. You can upload photos to some of these apps, so that if you're grateful for something, you can actually put a photo of that individual or that experience, whatever it may be. So there's some cool things to check out. So if you're not a journal person, you're not going to write it down the old-fashioned way, check out a gratitude app. It's a great way to do it. And if you don't get all of them in the morning when you're on the go, if you're suddenly grateful for something like my decaf coffee and hanging out with Kevin, I can write it into my app once I'm off air. So really great stuff, to be able to check out. All right, so then I want to talk a little bit about daily outreach. So this is number 4 out of your 5. We talked a lot about this in Do It Now, but again, it's focusing on or anchoring on your outreach to individuals in your database. So this is texting, calling, or writing a personal note to 5 people in your database. So it can be a quick text in the morning. If you want to be able to pick up the phone and call someone, that can be one of these 5, or you can write a personal note card. So just that daily outreach, make sure that you get it in. We all know it's part of staying in the flow with the people in our sphere.
That's right. And then the 5th, and this is separate from the daily outreach. The daily outreach that Amy's talking about is proactively reaching out to 5 people in your database. In this case, acknowledging others, and this is really acknowledging them for milestones, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries, some other momentous day in their life, something that's been something that you can acknowledge and make them feel great for acknowledging. And one of the suggestions, and you've probably seen this, one of the things that I think is great is just doing a quick video message and texting it. It can be anything, though. Don't make it complicated to the point where you don't do it. You can do an email, you can do a text, a phone call is unbelievable because people don't call each other anymore. But make it unique and make it memorable. We always say, stay away from the Facebook like. You can certainly do that, but don't let that be how you acknowledge their birthday or another special event. So these are the tips we have today. This is what we've talked about when it comes to it's all about love, taking care of yourself from the beginning, work-life balance, good habits, the morning routine, and gratitude. So thank you so much for joining us. We do have a couple of announcements to make, a couple of tips for registering. Amy, you want to share some of those?
Yeah, so we want to make sure that you are set and ready to go for the remainder of our series. So if you haven't yet, you can go ahead and register for the series. You can go to @propertieslove.com. And once you're there, you'll actually have the opportunity to register for every one of the remaining Mondays where you can join us live. And then once you've registered, we have your information and we're going to be sure to send out an inner office a binder for you. So anticipate you'll get it this week. As we get registrations, we're shipping them out. And then you can use that binder to add all of the information we're going to be sending to you at the start of each week. In addition, on Thursday, we've got our first Ninja Accelerator at 9:30 a.m. We're really excited for it. If you want to make sure to be able to register, the link or the website for that is @propertiesninja.com. And you can go ahead and register for that. And I believe you can register for the series of those as well once you get there. So you can sign up for all of the Ninjas sessions or accelerators you'd like to join us for on Thursdays during our series.
Great. So remember those websites, get in there, register. You can go back to those sites at any time to register for others that you haven't. We want to make it as easy as possible. And then lastly, Today, a page will be going live on platform where you will be able to access all of the collateral, all of the materials. They will also be in the Agent app. They will be everywhere you want them to be so that they're as easy to access as possible. All right, thank you everyone for joining us today for the first Coffee with Amy and Kevin for the It's All About Love program. We look forward to many more and spending this time with you. But remember, it's time to love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Make it a great day.